Hello friends, my name is Laurel. Welcome to my channel. Now, you're probably a complete noob to yoga or a complete beginner if you've clicked on this video. So thank you for being here, welcome. This video is also suitable for anyone who perhaps has done a couple of classes and you just want to learn a little more about the foundations of yoga. Now, before we jump on the mat, there are a few things I just want to let you know which I think are super important. So the first one is that what we do here on the mat, the physical side of yoga, the asana, is only one part of yoga. So these shapes, these poses are known as asana. It's the third limb of yoga. You're probably like, what does that actually mean? Well, there are actually 8 limbs of yoga. So there is a whole world of information online if you want to learn a little more about yoga philosophy and the real meaning behind yoga. So just know that what we do here on the mat is just one phase of a bigger picture of yoga. 2, there are so many different styles of yoga. You may have heard of vinyasa, yin, hatha, kundalini, Ashtanga. There's so many, and it's really important to find what style works for you, because you might get into a room and do a yoga class and really dislike it, and then you might think, nope, that's it for me. But please know there are lots of different styles. Today we're going to work on learning the foundations of vinyasa yoga. Vinyasa yoga is typically a little faster. It's more of a so it's a flow, so you typically move up to a peak posture, and it's known as movement with breath. So the breath is super important, which leads me to my third point, the importance of breath. Without that conscious awareness of the breath, we're not really practicing yoga. So in a class or in any of these videos, you will be cued to inhale and exhale. There are many reasons why the breath is so important, but just a couple of reasons that I want to let you know is when we start to consciously pay attention to our breath, it allows us to become very presently aware in this moment. So we're not worrying about the past or the future. We're focusing on each inhale and exhale. We're cultivating that present awareness, which really is such a big part of yoga. We are, instead of breathing up here in our chest, we're breathing down here in the diaphragm. So it allows us to really relax and calm the body and mind, which helps us reap the benefits of the physical practice of yoga as well. You'll feel a greater sense of calmness after your session. Now, that's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to run through today before we start. Otherwise, you'll probably click off and go on to something else. So when you're ready, all you'll need today is a mat, perhaps some water, and we will get started into learning a few foundational poses and sequences for vinyasa. Thank you for being here. Let's get started. All right, you noob, you beginner, let's do this. I was once a beginner in class, and I actually still remember my first class. It was quite bad, but I kept going and now here I am. So who knows where this journey will lead for you too. All right, so before we start, especially after I've just done this whole spiel on the breath, we're going to just come to a cross-legged position or any sort of seat that feels comfortable for you, and I want you to just close the eyes down and start to bring that awareness to the breath. Keep the spine lifted, the crown of the head lifts to the sky. Now I want you to take an inhale to expand the belly first. So think you're filling up like a balloon in the belly, and then you're going to bring the breath up to the diaphragm, which sits just below the rib cage. And then the breath will travel to the rib cage last. Again, I invite you to keep those eyes closed. And on the exhale, the rib cage draws in, the diaphragm comes in, and the belly draws in last. So again, we're just cultivating a little bit of that present awareness, focusing on that breath, just noticing how it sounds, how it feels. Envisioning the belly as a balloon expanding. And when we reach the rib cage, we're filling up every inch of our lungs to feel that expansion. And then everything draws in as the breath travels back down. Let's go one more inhale here. And exhale through the mouth. Gently blink the eyes open. Hello, welcome back. So that was just a very short pranayama breath work. Very, very teeny weeny. So now that we've sort of started to drop into the breath, we're going to keep those long inhalations and exhalations as we move through. So from here, we're going to start our flow. So let's move into tabletop position. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And we're going to drop through some cat-cows. Now, if we move through our cow position, imagine you are a cow and you are mooing on a paddock of grass. So we drop the belly and the heart lifts. So if you envision a cow, moo, oh my gosh, I'm sorry guys, you know what I'm saying here, but that's where this comes from. And then the cat position, we tuck the tailbone and you're going to push up through the shoulder blades. So imagine you're looking like a very pissed off cat here. So drop the head down, really pushing up through those shoulder blades. All right, let's inhale, drop the belly, coming back through to cow. Don't stress the eyes to look up to the sky. Just keep them just looking past the nose or just ever so slightly up past the nose. And exhale back to cat, round through. So we're doing it, getting a bit of flexion and extension of the spine, really rinsing out the spine here. It should feel really nice, especially with the cow position. We're tucking that tailbone. So a little opening of the hips and coming through. All right, nice job. So think of this, we'll just do one more. Think of this as our warm-up before we start to move through some more fast-paced postures. All right, we're going to come into our very first downward dog. Perhaps this is your very first one ever. It's a pleasure to be able to be here with you for your first downward dog. Now tuck your toes. So again, those hips are stacked just above the knees. And we're going to lift the hips up to the sky. Now just keep a little bend in those knees as we come up. So you want to try keep the spine flat. And so we're not rounding through. The spine is flat and the belly draws towards the thighs. Now, if you are already flexible and you want to play around with extending those heels, please do so now. Or perhaps those heels are just ever so slightly off the mat, whatever works for you. Whatever works for you to allow a flat spine and the hips to draw up to the sky. Now try and peel those shoulders away from the ears and you're sliding them back down towards the spine. If this is your first downward dog, it may feel a little bit awkward, but that is very normal. You're putting your body in a position that it doesn't typically go in. So just bear with me here. Coming back to the breath, add a little heel toe to the feet. So the heels come down, back onto the toes. All right, beautiful job. From here, I want you to look forward and you're just going to step your hands in between, so your feet in between your hands. Now let's hang out here in a forward fold. Keep a little bend in those knees if you wish. And we're going to very slowly roll the body up, vertebrae by vertebrae, to come into what's called mountain pose. Here we are. Now, let's make some adjustments before we move through our sun salutation. So those big toes come to touch and have a little space in the heels. Tuck your tailbone forward, so we're not arching through, having an arch through the lower back. And peel those shoulders back and really lift the spine up towards the sky. So we are a strong mountain here, standing at the top of our mat. Think of every mountain pose as an opportunity to reset before we start to move through a new sequence. So it's like we get to start again every time we meet here. It's like, who can I be moving through this next phase of my class? All right, we're going to move through sun salutation. So a sun salutation is what typically binds sequences together in vinyasa. So we're going to learn the glue, which is a great way to obviously start, because then we can build upon that as we move through. So our first position in sun salutation is mountain pose. From there, I want you to sweep the hands all the way to the sky. Your palms come together. They're going to draw down past the heart center, coming back into that forward fold. So come all the way down to the earth, drop the hands. And again, if you are very tight in the hamstrings, keep a little bend in those knees. Now from here, we're going to take an inhale and come into a halfway lift. So hands come to the shins, a nice flat spine, look forward. Don't bring the head up though, keep it in good alignment with the spine and just keep the eyes gazing forward. So this is a halfway lift. From here, drop those hands back down and I want you to press the hands into the mat and step back to a plank. We're going to take an easy version here, so drop the knees, untuck the toes, and we're going to come into a modified Chaturanga. Chaturanga sounds complicated. Let's think of it as a tricep push-up. So a tricep push-up, the elbows draw back behind you, the arms are nice and close to the body. So lower the chest, except we're not going to push up from here. We're going to slide through into what's called a Cobra. So a Cobra, we're going to have the chest lifted, the shoulders pulled back down. You want to make sure you're not too high though. So just high enough that when you bring your hands off, you're still supported. All right, from here, let's tuck those toes. We'll come into an easy version to come back to downward dog. So I want you to come to your knees, push the hips back to the heels. Firmly plant into the mat with those hands and bring those hips up to downward dog. Congratulations, you just completed your first sun salutation. Come back to that movement. Remember, hips pull up to the sky, sit bones draw up to the sky, belly towards the thighs, shoulders pulled away from the ears. Those hands are about shoulder distance apart, as well as those feet are about hip distance apart. All right, exhale where you are. We're going to look forward. On your next inhale, step in between those hands. Come back to your halfway lift. That's that flat spine. And fold forward. Inhale, sweep the hands all the way to the sky. Palms come together, drawing past the heart, opening back into mountain pose, also known as Tadasana. Big toes touch. Tuck the tailbone, shoulders peel back. All right, we're going to move through that a little quicker. You're doing awesome. When you're ready, exhale where you are. Inhale, sweep the hands all the way to the sky. Palms come together. Draw past the heart, forward fold. Bend those knees if you need. Inhale, halfway lift. Remember, flat spine. Exhale, fold a little forward, plant the hands, step back to plank. Now you can drop those knees if you wish. Otherwise, in your plank position, you're going to gently bring the body forward, bend those elbows, and then from here, untuck the toes, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat and pull those shoulders away. So here we're in an upward facing dog. Upward facing dog, our thighs are off the mat. Otherwise, you can still drop down to your Cobra if you need to. All right, from here, if you're an upward facing dog, tuck those toes, coming back to downward facing dog. Beautiful job. All right, let's keep adding. From here, I want you to lift the left leg. You can bring it as high as it allows. Bend through that knee, and it's going to land in between the hands. Drop the back heel and sweep those arms towards the top of the mat. Now your hips are closed to the front. This is warrior one. So the back heel has dropped. Your back toes are anywhere between a 45 to a 60 degree angle, and your front leg a 90 degree angle. Arms raised to the sky, drop the shoulders, hips squared off. Warrior one, let's take a breath. Inhale and exhale. Now from here, we're going to open up to warrior two. So now drop the left arm, the right arm comes behind, and your hips twist to the long edge of the mat. The back toes are also facing the long edge of the mat. So this is warrior two. So again, warrior one, we will squared off to the front. Warrior two, we slide open, hips open to the long edge. Simple, right? Legs are feeling it. Heart rate's going up a little bit, so not so simple. But these moves are pretty simple when we break it down. All right, stay for one more breath. Inhale, look forward over that top arm, arms at shoulder height. And exhale. From here, let's windmill those arms down to land either side of that front foot. I want you to bring that left foot back behind to step into downward dog. We're going to swap sides here, but let's just stay for a breath. Reset. And exhale. All right, from here, the right leg lifts. Bend the knee to land at the top in between the hands. Drop the back heel before we come up. Sweep those hands all the way overhead. Hips square off to the front of the mat. Warrior one. Hello, here we are. Inhale, reach the arms. Exhale, sink a little deeper. If you need a little more balance, you can bring the back leg a little closer to the long edge of the mat, so you create a little space between your front and back leg if you need a little more assistance with your balance. Get ready to open into warrior two. So hips open to the long edge. The toes, back toes are 90-degree angle. Arms at shoulder height, looking over that top arm. Again, really pushing through the feet. Strong back legs, so we're not bending through the back knee. Stay for one more breath. Inhale. And exhale. Windmill the hands down. Let's step back to downward facing dog. All right. So you guys, you've done sun salutation, warrior one, and warrior two. Beautiful job. Let's stay for one more breath here. Inhale. And exhale. Look forward, step the feet in between the hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the hands all the way overhead. Palms draw to heart center. Stay for a breath. Inhale. And exhale. One more breath here. Inhale. And exhale. Release the hands down. Big toes to touch, small space. We're going to take one more sun salutation. Inhale, sweep the hands. Exhale, fold forward. A little bend in those knees if you need. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands. We're going to step back to plank. You can drop those knees if you wish. Get ready for Chaturanga. So remember, it's like a tricep push-up, the arms draw back behind, and then untuck the toes, upward dog, pull those shoulders back, and exhale, downward dog. Let's stay for 3 breaths here, last one. Bending those knees if you want, otherwise stay in a strong, still downward dog, bringing the belly towards the thighs. Peel the shoulders away, firmly pressing into the hands and the fingertips, not just letting all the weight sit on the wrists. One more inhale. And exhale. All right, from here I want you to bend those knees, bring them wide to the edge of the mat. Big toes come to touch. We're going to come into child's pose, so bringing the arms towards the top edge of the mat and the forehead down to rest on the mat. Also sinking the heart down and the belly down. And exhale where you are. We're going to gently bring the body up. Come to sit on those sit bones. And we will come to bring the soles of the feet to touch for our diamond or butterfly posture, also known as Supta Baddha Konasana, but you don't need to worry about that right now, these Sanskrit terms. Let's bring those hands on the ankles, forearms to rest on the legs. Take an inhale to lift the spine. And exhale, fold forward, gently pressing those legs towards the earth. A nice hip opener here. Start to notice if you are tensing or holding a little extra tightness in those hips. On the exhale, that's an opportunity to go a little deeper, to release and let go. Feel free to close the eyes if you need. All right, come all the way back up. We're going to extend those legs. We're going to come down to a supine position or lying down on the mat. So meet me down here. We're going to extend the left leg. We're going to bring the right knee up towards the chest. Left hand grabs right knee. Right arm just places on the ground or the mat and coming into a spinal twist. So we're bringing the knee across the body. Both shoulders stay on the earth. Taking a little opportunity to wind down before we come into our final resting pose. Always a great time to just check in and see how you're doing. Perhaps a little reflection on how you felt today went. Remember, the first time for anything is always a little challenging, can be uncomfortable. It's very normal. So we're going to come back to center. Let's just swap sides, extend the right leg. Left knee draws across the body. And you might get a couple of clicks or cracks in the spine like me. It feels great. Looking in the opposite direction of that knee. And let's come back to center. We're going to extend just to a lying position. It's called Shavasana. It's our final resting pose. This is the opportunity to come into a complete space of surrender and relaxation, acknowledging the beautiful work you've done today, and just start to notice any changes in how the body feels, how the mind feels. Just a moment to be and let go. I invite you to add a very small bit of movement to the fingers and the toes. We'll extend those arms all the way overhead. Feel free to interlace those fingers, press the palms away. And we'll just come to lie on the right side of the body. And keep the eyes closed and just press the body up to come into a cross-leg position. If you need to open your eyes to do that, that's totally fine as well. All right, here we're going to close out our practice. Again, just coming back to acknowledge your amazing work today for showing up and giving this a go. Inhale, sweep the hands all the way overhead, palms come together, landing at heart center. I'm taking this opportunity to bow to you, to acknowledge your beautiful work, your effort, and all that you have achieved here on the mat today. We can close out our practice with Namaste. Beautiful job today. Now, this was a very, very small introduction to yoga. I'm going to have a few more classes that will build upon what we've learned today. So please, come back and meet me here on the mat to learn a little more about yoga and all of its beautiful benefits, not only for the body, but your mind as well and your world off the mat. Thank you so much for being here.